I think we're hearing so much about bullying today because we live in a media-rich society. We have YouTube, we have 24-hour cable access, we have Facebook, we have Twitter. So when something happens, it's broadcast around the world instantaneously. A lot of people would think that there's more bullying today than there was when our parents were kids, but really that's not the case. We have such media exposure that we see a lot of bullying that doesn't happen to us or doesn't happen to our friends, but there's just as much bullying that occurred 25 years ago or 50 years ago than occurs today in today's classrooms. Statistics will tell us that most children experience some form of bullying at one time or another, most often between the 6th and the 8th grade. However, that doesn't mean that because so many kids experience bullying that it's okay. We say in the court system that it's no longer boys will be boys, and to bully and do things is looked at and our heads are turned when we see it. Instead, it's something that has to be addressed, and it's something that school systems and other folks are trying actively to prevent. In addition to criminal charges or school suspensions or expulsions, you can actually be sued for bullying and harassment. And if you're sued in a court of law under a civil action, then money damages paid by you and your parents to the person that has been harassed and bullied have been awarded. And those can range from damages for loss of reputation or damage to your reputation to emotional distress, and those damages can run in the millions of dollars. Bullying in the schools is really hard to prevent. I think because, one, there are so many areas in the school that are unstructured. When we're in our English class, that's a pretty structured environment, but between classes or on the athletic field or in the locker room or other places, there is not a lot of structure, and there's a culture in many areas that bullying is okay, or hazing is okay, or harassment is okay because of what we've talked about before with, everybody goes through it, and that's just what happens when you're a kid and it's part of growing up. Some parents might turn a blind eye if their child is a bully or if their child is being bullied. Some parents believe that if their child is the bully, then they're tough and they're able to stand up for themselves and they're being a leader. And if their child is being bullied, the parents don't want to make any waves and they don't want to cause any problems, and they think if they say something about it, then the bullying's just going to get worse. So they're trying to protect their child who's being bullied by not saying anything, and oftentimes parents are promoting the child who is being a bully because that's the way they act sometimes too. One of the biggest new areas of bullying that didn't happen when my parents were growing up or when I was growing up is cyberbullying. And that's any sort of harassment or intimidation that takes place through electronic means. So it's texting, it's things on YouTube, it's things on Facebook, it's on the internet, creating home pages, Facebook pages about someone that aren't true at all. And cyberbullying, even though it might not take place on school property, is punishable by the school systems if it interferes with the education of the person who's being bullied, or if it interferes, if a teacher's being cyberbullied, if it interferes with the teacher's ability to do his or her job, then discipline can be taken against the student that is being the cyberbully. In the school systems, there is an obligation for every employee within the school system, whether it's a teacher, a principal, a cook, a secretary, an aide, a bus operator, to report any instance that they see of bullying. So if they see that someone's being bullied or it's reported to them, that person has an obligation or a duty to tell somebody about it. Now, what will happen once that occurs is that there'll be an investigation, and the principal will talk to the people who are involved. They'll probably talk to me if I'm the one who made a complaint. They'll talk to other people who may have been around and who might have seen something, and they'll talk to the person who's been bullied, who's being the bully too, and they'll ask that person if this is happening. A couple things that will happen in the school system when there is a complaint made is that everybody will do everything they can to keep it confidential. Now, I would be lying to you if I told you it would be 100% confidential all the time and that no one would ever know who told. But at some point, someone is going to have to confront the bully, and that person is the principal. And it might be, if it happened to you, then they're going to say, it was reported to us that on the bus you hit Kim in the head. Did that happen? And even if you don't report it and a teacher sees it or a bus operator sees it, that bully may very likely think it's you that reported it anyway. So you're better off on your own going forward, reporting what has happened to someone that you trust, someone that you know will do something about it to make the bullying stop. There are all kinds of things that the school systems can do to make sure that bullying doesn't happen again. And that's their job, not just to stop the bullying, but to make sure that the bullying doesn't happen after it's been told. If I were to ask you to tell me what you got for your birthday 3 years ago, you probably couldn't remember that. But if I were to ask you to tell me about a time when you were bullied, you would remember it just like yesterday. And it could be 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. And all those memories would come flooding back to you. And you would be in that room again as a scared 12-year-old young girl, and you would have those same experiences even today. You might even feel that way if you saw that person walk into the room today.